Of the riders hard on the anchors into turn 12. This is Matani clicking it down the gear. The right-hander, one of the slowest corners on the circuit, if not the slowest. And then it's all about picking the bike up, fight it out. It's a short run to the line, of course, so leading out of the final corner here in Buriram then, and you pretty much guarantee get a bad run out of that final corner to the line in first place. So the two Japanese ride, Matani, your top two on the grid, are getting into full clear here. Ikigami in third place, Takahiro on the number 9. Watch out, but he is second in the overall stand in clear air. And Takahiro then needs to do the same, because it's going to be interesting to see what lap times they set on this lap, the top two. As Matani threatens to overtake Ojiwara up the inside, thinks better of it this time around, but watch out for Takahiro. He's going to lose another place to, I think that's Dakigan, or was he, what was that lap time? Both Ojiwara and Matani into the 146s, a good 4 tenths quicker than anyone else on circuit, apart from Ramadipa, who's also in the 146s. So tough times ahead for Takahiro. He needs to get his head down, bumping and barging there with Ikigami, his compatriot. He needs to get to the front of this group and try and bridge that gap.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them to do it, though, with the pace that Ogiwara and Mitani are setting at the moment. Of course, Ogiwara does know what it is to win in this competition this year. He won back in round 3 in Indonesia in race 2. And he's got a real taste for it, as we're seeing here. And he's going to be desperate to get back on the top step of the podium, despite the fact that he's got Mitani crawling over the back of that wheel.
Certainly has. We saw Matani then running slightly wide on the exit of turn 3, who ran wide too. So we guess, of course, Singapong then on the 20 shows a wheel up the inside of Hafai, the Malaysian, on the number 19. Takahiro in the middle of this group needs to try and get a wriggle on in these last 9.5 laps. Matani, though, just knows he can just sit behind Ojiwara and help both of them clear the chasing pack behind him. And all this argy-barging behind is only helping them. It's up to a second now between Mitani and Singapong, and it's only growing. Another 10.5 gained last sector. It's going to be interesting again to see what lap time they do over the line. But these two, after a complicated opening few laps with everyone trying to jostle for position, now look like they're setting the pace, and it's going to be difficult for the riders behind to try and cling on with 9 laps to go as they cross the line. From Takahiro, your top 5, as Singapong then sets the fastest lap of the round. Have got superb rhythm as well. So Singapong then driving his way up to the leaders, half a second quicker. If he can keep that up, he'll be with them in another lap or two. So this is great stuff from the number 20 Thai rider.
Yeah, absolutely, and you've said it there, the Thai rider wants to do it in front of the home fans. I don't know whether that's an advantage or not, being in front of the home fans, the additional pressure that will add. But now, as he chases these two,
he just loses another position then there to Hafai, and he set a 147.1, so Singapong was nearer than Hafai on that lap time, as Takahiro and Singapong dive back past Hafai into turn 4. Takahiro doing well to cling on to Singapong here, and this is exactly what they've got to do. They've got to box clever here of the chasers, and if the checkered flag's to wave now, Mitani would be the 2024 champion, but 8.5 laps to go, a long way to go. And if Singapong keeps that pace up, and looks like he is doing as well, now he's got back to the front, re-overtaking Hafai into third place, and Singapong really has the hammer down here. Visually, you can see there on your screen, he is closing the gap. It's going to be interesting to see what it is over the line as we near another lap completed. Ojiwara leading the way from Mitani. Mitani just sitting there patiently doing exactly what he has to do. But look at Singapong on number 20. This is potentially going to be another fastest lap of the race. That's probably only about half a second, even less potentially, as it gets a little bit too close for comfort in the background down into turn 12. Another lap completed then. What is the gap over the line? Of 46.7 for Takahiro, 46.5 for Singapong, and the top two were back into the 147. So another 6, sort of half a second, 6 tenths quicker was the number 20. Race on.
Yeah, absolutely, race on. Singapong is chasing down these two, and we can, as you say, on our screens as he edges his way metre by metre into this fight. And prior to the race, Elliot, I would have said that all of these potential contenders would have needed to bout Mitani together in any way possible, but it looks like Ojiwara didn't get the memo, and now Singapong's really putting on and making sure that he's involved as well.
He's certainly with them. A fantastic couple of laps then from the number 20, Singapong. He doesn't care about chip standings. He just wants to win on home turf, and winning is potentially what he's going to do. He takes the race lead for the first time. Does Singapong, overtakes Mitani through turn 4, and now it's a lead group of 5 because Takehira's dragged Hafai with him as the top 2 who threatened to pull clear in this race have been dragged back into the fight, and now it's a 10-wheeler at the front, including that he's got to the lead of this race. Is he going to just get the hammer down and try and clear off into the distance? He's got fantastic pace, tyre wear of course potentially an issue in the closing stages, but look at the gap he's pulling already on Mitani and Ojiwara. Fantastic stuff from the number 20 in front of his home crowd. A long way to go, but he has victory in sight.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's showing just how much of a precocious talent he is, because it's one thing to reel in those two. He's got an entirely different kind of task, which is going to be very difficult for him when he's got Mitani behind him, but now he's in the lead and he has to try and protect it.
Certainly does. Takehira then trying to squeeze his way up the inside of Ojiwara's compatriot on the number 16. Got it out of shape coming out of turn 12, and he's lost ground. He's now back behind the number 19 of Hafai. So another lap completed, then 7 to go here in Thailand, and it's a Thai rider at the front. Singapong from Ojiwara, from Mitani, from Hafai, from Takehira. Your top 5 locked together as Mitani pulls out of the slipstream on Ojiwara, but Ojiwara is getting a nice handful of slipstream himself down into turn 3, but thinks better of it this time around in terms of making a move. All eyes then on Mitani, Ojiwara and Takehira, all the Thai eyes. The home fans will be cheering on the number 20, of course. Last lap comparisons there, 6/10 slower was Mitani, but that's irrelevant when they're in this group. Mitani then into the slipstream, 3 abreast we go through turn 4. Singapong's just going to lose out there, unfortunately for the home fans and Singapong, but he gets a great run through turn 4. Thinks better of it though into turn 5. So Mitani then back into the lead of this race with 6.5 to go.
Yeah, Mitani did exactly what we expect from him. He took advantage of an opportunity that was presented to him, and that's not what the riders around him would have wanted. And he's such a performer, especially this year, and we know what it would mean to him to get on the podium after he missed out so narrowly in both races last year in the 2023 edition of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup.
Certainly. So Mitani then a little bit out of shape coming through the fast left-hander at turn 10 before you flick it right through 11, get a slingshot into turn 12. He's late on the brakes, Mitani. You do well to beat Mitani, the number 2 on the brakes. No one beat him that time around. 6 laps to go. Matani has found himself back into the lead, and remember, if he wins, no matter what happens behind him, he will be crowned champion, but there's a long way to go. 5 riders all in this group fighting for victory. Ramadeepa is in P7, 1.3 seconds, P6 on the number 7 machine, 1.3 seconds adrift, so don't count Ramadeepa out just yet either. Slow-mo again down into turn 12. I've got a feeling this is what it's going to come down to. Who's going to be last of the late breakers into the final? Win for the first time, win the title, win again in the Asia Talent Cup, win for the first time in 2024. Lots of narratives here in the final 5.5 laps to go. Into the bubble they go, tucked behind the screen, try and get as good a run as possible, sweeping across the track. Takehira goes on the number 9 machine. Ojiwara then into the race lead again. Takehira, a fantastic run. Ojiwara though does run wide, he's got to watch out for that. As Mitani says, thank you very much, I'll sweep on through. So your top 3 in the championship again then. 3 in this race. Takehira now leads for the first time in a while, potentially for the first time in the race on the number 9 machine. So fantastic stuff from Takehira. He's struggled all weekend long, including qualifying, until his last lap of the race, and now he's lead to go. Fantastic stuff for the Japanese rider, exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, he was very much biding his time. He hadn't been in the lead before, but now he is on course. If he can hold this position, which as we've seen is no easy task, it's been chopping and it's been changing, but he could get that so elusive win, and the Japanese rider will be absolutely desperate to get on the top. He's been on the podium 4 times, but it's so difficult, as we've just seen there.
Yeah, exactly that. It's going to be incredibly difficult for anyone to keep this race lead going into the final 5 laps of the race. Just to the bottom of your screens there, one of the wildcard riders, Bumprowet, has a long lap penalty for exceeding track limits. That's unfortunate for the wildcard rider. He'll have to complete that before the end of the race. He'll get a time penalty etched to his name at the end of the race. Here is your live championship standings then. It's going to change all the time, corner by corner in the last 5 laps so far. It is Mitani taking a 76-point lead into race 2, and that'll be enough, but it's not a 76-point lead anymore. That can change immediately as Takehira dives up the inside into turn 3, the long right-hander, the slow right-hander before you get it. pinpointed out of that corner and squirt your machine right back up into turn 4, the long crawl back up to huge grandstand that we're sat in here that has been packed full of fans all weekend long, and the fans that have stuck around are all cheering for that man, the number 20, as Singapong dives at the inside at turn 4 and leads again. So in a matter of a few corners, Mitani's gone from race leader to P5 in this battle as the top 2 in the championship there in P4 and P5. Turn 5, battle away, fantastic stuff. Singapong again though, the race leader, the Thai rider.
The Thai audience here in the stands are being treated to an absolute feast of race here. It's been sensational from finish. This leading group has been so good, battling it out, chopping, changing, and now they've got the home hero leading the pack.
Certainly do. Just over 4 laps to go. Singapong very strong on the brakes around the outside, hangs it around the outside at turn 1. Is it going to compromise his exit slightly? Not sure it is, but Singapong's going to grab a healthy dose of slipstream down through turn 2 into turn 3. Mitani and Sakira battling away too in this fight. Hafai on the number 19 sitting there patiently so far. There's Takira up the inside of Mitani. That's a battle that's raised for the last lap or so. In the top 2 in the championship know exactly what they need to do. Takira doing what he needs to do. He needs to beat Mitani at least to have any chance of it going the way in race 2 in terms of the championship. But look at that from Mitani. That's about 5 riders in one. Fantastic stuff through turn 4. Grabs a load of slipstream, dives at the inside through turn 4 into turn 5. So I was going to Mitani wouldn't be taking the crown, but ignore that. A couple of seconds later, it all changes. Mitani, as things stand with Takira now in second place, will be crowned champion in 3.5 laps time. But then he won't, because Takira takes the lead again. This is changing lap by lap, corner by corner. Fantastic stuff in the Asia Talent Cup. Takira gets it a little bit out of shape, coming through turn 8 into turn 9. Then they flick it left through turn 10. Then again right into turn 11 and all down to turn 12. It's going to change here, I reckon, as well, Connor.
Yeah, it's chopping, it's changing. We've got the live championship graphic there on your screens, and we see it changing like an elaborate game of one moment Mitani's winning, one excitement. This is Asia Talent Cup, Elliot, and it is at its very best.
This is racing at its very best. It all comes down to the last 3 laps then here in race 1, as we expect to look out for the number 7 as well. Of course, Ramadipa, the Indonesian, is coming. Is only 6/10 off the 5 now, and I bet by a couple of corners time that's going to be pretty much down to nothing. Mitani is going to lead the way down into turn 3. Is he getting a little bit too close of a comfort there on the run down into turn 3, but is Mitani going to hold the lead into turn 3? No, not quite. Ojiwara then up the inside wide, but he's going to get a decent slingshot out in 3 and up through turn 4. I'll just call this one. Takira then into green, Singapong into the slipstream, Hafai, and look at that, Ramadipa gets a load of slipstream down into turn, gets a little bit more into turn 4, and look at that from Adipa. He was P6 3 corners ago, and now he's up to 3rd, and he's thinking about potentially winning this race. The Indonesian on the number 7 machine, fantastic stuff to get himself involved in this fight. Now he fancies a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 4th place, though he's threatening those at the front, and this time I think the riders ahead of him are going to be very much concerned. This is a rider that wants to be standing on the podium come the end of this race with just 2.5 laps to go.
2.5 to go. Mitani is leading the way from Ojiwara as things stand. The live championship on the bottom right hand of your screen. 85 points will be plenty enough for Mitani to claim the crown in race 1, but there's a long way to go. 2 laps to go, just over. What can Takira do on the number 9 machine to try and respond? Ojiwara placed himself well there in P2, but they've got to try and get ahead of Mitani. Got to try and disrupt the number 2's rhythm in the last couple of laps to have any hope of claiming the crown themselves. 2 laps to go, Mitani leads.
2 laps to go, exactly right. As you say, it's going to be so tough for any of these riders to try and get ahead of Mitani. He's proven just how brilliant he is all throughout this season, all throughout last season, and he's made such progress as well, really showing how much this class is bearing fruit. But it's not going to be difficult at all. Look at these 4 riders trying to get the best of him. It's still Mitani who leads, but can someone get ahead? No, it's still Mitani.
Mitani then just about holds on, race lead down into turn 3, but the number 20 of Singamon pulls out of the slipstream, so does the number 7 of Ramadipa. Ojiwara up the inside on the 16, he's going to take 3 in 1. Ojiwara then, turn 4 he goes into the race lead on the number 16 machine, and the championship changes once again. 71 points it was, it's going to grow more than that, but Ojiwara then doing all he can so far with 1.5 laps to go. The number 16 is in the race lead. Mitani P3, Singapong P4, Ramadipa in P2. Where is Takira? He's P5. He's not really challenging at this moment in time, but he's right there.
Oh, absolutely sensational stuff. I think that the person responsible for the TV graphics can just leave that live championship up, because this is chopping, this is changing, this is absolutely sensational. Ojiwara at the moment leading, Mitani behind him, and this is just incredible. Elliot, I don't want it to finish.
Neither do I, but it's going to in a lap and one more corner. Here we go then for the penultimate time. It gets a little bit out of shape there, corner on the number 7 machine, but it is last lap time here in Thailand race 1. Ojiwara leads from Mitani, the potential champion-elect. Ramadipa P3 on the number 7 machine. Takira second in the championship. Before this race, he has a mountain to climb. Heading on to this final lap, through turn 1 we go. Ojiwara from Mitani, from Ramadipa. Mitani's going to get some slipstream here down through turn 2 into turn 3. Is he going to make a move into turn 3? He's going to think about it. He's been late on the brakes all season long. Fantastic on the brakes, the number 2 machine. He looks up the inside and he makes a clean pass. So Mitani then will all down to the final corner potentially, but Mitani is a champion, is in champion position as things stand.
As things stands, but that could change at any moment, Elliot. This is absolutely incredible, and there it does change as well. It's Takehiro who takes the lead, and this is just absolutely incredible. Everyone's doing everything they can to try and get ahead of Mitani. Wow, and that's exactly what we're seeing happening.
Yeah, Mitani's gone from P1 to P6 in one corner. Takehiro now leads, the rider who came into this second in the championship, and it's gone from about a 75-point lead to a 56-point lead in a matter of corners. Mitani then at the back of this group, fighting away with Ramadipa. Takehiro looked out of it, looked out of the podium, leading into turn 9. Turn 10, 11 and 12 to come. They flick it left through 10, then right through 11, and it's all going to come down to turn 12. Where is Mitani on the number 2? He's back in P5 at this moment in time. Look at the face, they go, oh, they're all on the grass. On down, boys, into the final corner we come. Mitani on the number 2 machine. Takehiro's been overtaken. That's Ramadipa going wide. Oh, it's all going to be a run to the line. Who's going to win? It's going to be Ramadipa on the number 7. Oh! Ramadipa wins from Takehiro, Ojiwara, Singapong and Mitani finishes in P5, so the title race gone for a little bit longer. We go into race 2 here in Thailand, a dramatic final corner, the run down into turn 12. Several riders on the grass. I'm glad they all came out of that all okay. That was a little bit too sketchy down there into turn. Who wins here in Thailand? What a fantastic finish. Takehiro in second, Ojiwara in third. Connor, I need to get my breath back.
Absolutely. Talk about last corners. What about last laps? That was sensational. From the moment they crossed the line to finish that, Kienda Ramadipa, it was chopping, it was changing, and he's the rider that's come out on top, and it's so good to see these young riders congratulate each other. We see there exactly what it means to Ramadipa to win. He was been so good today, and there we see the fraternity between these riders. Such good friends off the track as well. Absolutely wonderful. Look at that. Enjoying themselves after the race. They know they've got another chance to get on the podium in race 2 on Sunday, but for now,
I say it got potentially a little bit too scary down there into turn 12. We don't like to see riders having to run onto the grass, but it was incredibly close racing from all of them, and as I say, glad to see they all came through that all okay. I hope we get a replay of that down into turn 12, but then goes from P5 potentially up with about 11 corners to go. And in a blink of an eye, went from P1 to P5, and P5 is exactly where the number 2 finished. The first time this season, would you believe, Mitani has finished off the podium. And if you remember back to last year in 2023, race 1 in Thailand, it was the first time as well when Pratama off the podium for the first time. So interesting stuff. Mitani's not going to be too pleased with how that unfolded, but incredibly close racing. He'll reflect on that one and come back even stronger tomorrow morning, you can be sure. But what a race. Thousandths of a second splitting Ramadipa into Sakahira. This was just a replay down into turn 5. Singapong on the brakes, a little bit out of shape up the inside, and this is it. This is into turn 12. Ojiwara going defensive. No, this isn't the last lap. They weren't on the grass there. This was on the previous lap, potentially. I think that was the penultimate lap. I think this is going to be the final lap. Takahira then coming out of turn 11, the final time, and 3 riders there getting it onto the grass. Thankfully, they all stayed up okay. Defensively, of course, which is what you're on the number 16.
About the slipstream, but it's who can take most advantage of it, and we saw there that Ramadipa did so well, so close right at the end. Such an incredible last lap. And for Mitani, well, he'll be very frustrated. Thailand definitely is not his favourite place to come racing.
No, certainly not. As I said, the first time this season, I mean, this is credit to Mitani, of course. First time this season he's been off the podium. Sensational stuff. We expected it to go down to the final corner, but we couldn't really have expected that to happen. Fantastic stuff from all 6 in the front group. Ramadipa, as I say, winning by 9,000. Ojiwara just over a 10th back. Singapong just over a 10th back. Mitani a 10th and a half adrift from the race win and finishes in P5 and Hafai. Unfortunately, one of those riders had to come out last of the group, and unfortunately it was the Malaysian, but to finish under 2 and to finish P6 is disheartening to say the least, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes in the Asia Talent Cup. Stuck around, and there was plenty of them in this huge grandstand here that overlooks the entire circuit. Gotta say, if you're ever looking for a place to come, Thailand, of course, is probably on top of your list, or should be on top of your list anyway if you haven't been here. But again, the Chang International Circuit lends itself perfectly to great racing, great people here, and a great facility, and a great grandstand, several grandstands where you can see pretty the whole circuit. Davide Brivio down there, great to see the Trackhouse Racing team manager down there congratulating, I think that was Kandra Ramadipa, the race winner. And unfortunately for the Thai fans, they didn't get to see Singapong stand on the podium. Connor just missed out, 11 thousandths of a second, but for the number 20, he'll be hungry tomorrow to try and stand on the podium.
Yeah, he came so close this time around as we prepare for these Parc Fermé proceedings. You were just mentioning there how lovely it is to go to this Chang International Circuit. Well, Buriram does mean in Thai, and my Thai isn't perfect, I'll be the first to admit it, City of Happiness, and here we are seeing scenes of true elation following this race. It was so tight, and to have won that, well, the emotion, the adrenaline will be pumping through you.
Yeah, can confirm, Connor, I am fluent in Thai. I don't know if everyone knew that, and it does mean the City of Happiness. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on. City of Happiness for the top 3, Ramadipa, Takahira and Ojiwara, but not this time around for Mitani. But will he get his revenge tomorrow morning? 9:45 local time, the race starts. You do not want to miss. From 9 thousandths of a second to Rishi Takahira. Rider Ojiwara stands on the podium. Crucial for Takahira and Ojiwara to close the gap on Mitani ahead of race 2. Singapong, the Thai rider, just misses out in P4. Mitani still your championship leader, of course, but the deficit has been cut somewhat ahead of race 2. He finishes P5. Hafai close P6. Dakigan, Henry, Ikagami, who led the race, of course, in the open exchanges. Ikagami finished in P9 with Archie Schmidt down in P10, all under 4 seconds away from the race victory. A great race from all of those. The rookie finishes just over 4 seconds, so a fascinating battle that went on in the lower ends of the top 10 between those riders. Tanashot, the Thai rider, finished in P12. Chavan, the wildcard rider, Bumprawet, after his long lap penalty, finished in P14 with Levi Russo completing the points in P15. And this is how you ride as championship to race 2. Mitani needs a 50-point lead, leaving Thailand, heading into the final 2 races in Malaysia next weekend to be crowned the 2024 champion. And with 62 points in hand, it looks a little bit easier than it did in race 1, but as we've seen, anything can happen. It's not done until it's absolutely over here in the Asia Talent Cup. So a fascinating battle awaits us to kickstart Super Sunday here at the Thai Grand Prix. Takahira is the rider in second place in the standings. Ramadipa and Ojiwara is going to be all eyes on Mitani and Takahira heading into race 2 tomorrow. Ikagami slips down to P5 in the overall standings on 107 points, 95 for Singapong in P6. Hafai, Takamoto, Russo and Dakigan round out your top 10 in the overall standings. So your top three then have hopped into the golf carts across the other side of the circuit in front of this magnificent grandstand here at the Chang International Circuit, and will stand on the podium for the first time this weekend. They'll be out to potentially make it to tomorrow morning. Ojiwara stands on the podium once more. Ojiwara, that's 4 podiums in a row now, another P3 to his name. P3 last time out in race 2 in Japan. Congratulations to Takahira, strengthens his title charge ahead of tomorrow's decisive race before we head to Malaysia for the final round of the season. Can Takahira and the others take the title chase to Malaysia? As a neutral, we're hoping so. It's going to be a fascinating watch though tomorrow. Mitani still in a commanding position as we celebrate the race winner, Ramadipa, the Indonesian rider, wins for the first time since Qatar race 2. He's gone a few races without victory. He's not had a podium in the last 4. But Ramadipa, with similar sunglasses, I've got to say, that Veda Pratama wore last season, of course, his compatriot from Indonesia. They might be the same sunglasses, I'm not quite sure. Funky enough anyway, I think I could, but yeah, fantastic to see Ramadipa wearing some funky sunglasses on the podium. And we are going to listen to the Indonesian national anthem in just a few moments' time. Gotta say, one of the best national anthems around is the Indonesian national anthem. A proper good sing-song on the podium there was Kiandra Ramadipa having, as the riders celebrate their podium in race 1. And that builds us up very, very nicely indeed for race 2 tomorrow morning, 9:45 local time. Do not miss it. Highlights. I don't envy the guys back in the truck to make the highlights reel out of this one, but they've done a fantastic job of it. Lights out and away we went, and in turn 1, but Mitani didn't wait long for him to take the lead as he eyed championship glory in Thailand. Ikagami got a fantastic number 14 to get up into the lead group in the early exchanges from P10, the rookie, as the lead changed pretty much corner by corner, especially through turn 1, 2, 3 and 4, down the 1 kilometre back straight and back towards it, and it all came down to the final corner onto the green stuff. Halfway up the inside there, chaos at the final corner, and coming out of it was Ramadipa to win for the first time since Qatar earlier on this season. What a race we've just witnessed. Will the title be won tomorrow morning here in Thailand? Tani has his eyes set on the crown, but will he clinch it? We'll see you tomorrow to find out. After a weekend off in Australia, we are back in action here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, and this is what happened last time out at the Japanese Grand Prix. A fantastic couple of races, as it has been all year long in 2024, and it was 3 Japanese riders racing at the front in front of their home crowd, who battled it out for victory. Zen Mitani comes into this weekend as the championship leader, and a fantastic couple of results last time out. That was the number 7 of Ramadipa running up and out in the second race. He got his boot stuck in his rear wheel. Thankfully the Indonesian was all okay, but it was all about this trio at the front: Mitani, Ojiwara and Ikagami on the number 14 machine. This was race 2 on Sunday morning. Ikagami taking the lead into turn 1, and as it did, in race one. It came down to the last lap. That was Ikagami, incidentally, running wide down the hill, losing touch on Mitani and Ojiwara. But the number 14 didn't take long to bite back and get himself back into the lead group, the front two. That was Ojiwara trying up the inside down at the bottom hill at Motegi, a popular passing manoeuvre. But Ikagami slowly but surely clawed his way back, picked off Ojiwara, and then got a decent dose of slipstream on the run to the line. And the number 14 just pipped Mitani to the race win last time out. The debut win for the rookie in Japan. So that's how it unfolded then on Sunday in Japan a couple of weeks ago. As I said, we went to Australia alongside MotoGP for the Australian GP, the Mitsubishi Asia Talent Cup in action. So a couple of weeks off to enjoy what we saw in Japan, reminisce for the riders, of course, to think about what went wrong, what went right, of course. And as we land in Thailand, the Buriram International Circuit, it really is all about one rider who can stop Zen Mitani. He had a very slight match point in Japan, but it would have taken a miracle back at Mitani's home race for him to win the title there. But it's a little bit easier this time around in Buriram, the National Circuit. Zen Mitani heads into race one, 70 points ahead of Rishi Takehira, his compatriot, in second place. Ojiwara is in third place, a double podium finisher last time out, 80 points back. And if Zen Mitani finishes this race 75 points clear of his nearest rival, he will be crowned the 2024 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup champion. 15 laps coming up. Can Zen Mitani claim the crown in race one to help him a little bit easier tonight heading into race two? But if he doesn't win it in race one, then race two becomes a whole lot easier for him to win the title. But we will, of course, exciting action coming up. Elliot York, myself, is joined by Connor Doherty. Connor, it's been a fascinating year, hasn't it, in 2024 in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, and it all comes down to the last four races of the season. The question, though, can anyone stop Mitani from claiming the crown?
Yeah, absolutely. A pleasure to be here with you, Elliot. And that is the question. Zen Mitani has been absolutely sensational. But all of these riders have been so good this year, showing off their talent in the Asia Talent Cup. And I am thrilled to be here watching this race, the first match point, with you.
Yeah, it's going to be Belter rider Ojiwara on pole position then, the Japanese rider on the number 16 machine, third in the championship. As I said, 80 points down on Mitani, so he's one of two riders, well, one of three really, but realistically we're looking at one of two riders in this race that can really stop Mitani from claiming the crown. Second pole of 2024 for Ojiwara, but as we just saw then, Zen Mitani will go from the middle of the front row in second place. 5 wins out of Zen Mitani in 2024. He's been a force to be reckoned with this season as Zen Mitani, and he was in the podium fight last time we came to Thailand in 2023 too. So he didn't quite climb onto the podium in 2023, but he was in the lead group in both races, crashed in race 2. So Zen Mitani does go well around here. So can Ojiwara potentially spoil the party, put the, not champagne because they're not old enough to drink champagne yet, but put the on ice for another night for Zen Mitani and his crew? We'll wait and see. But Ojiwara, 3 podiums in a row, but you just feel, Connor, that just needs to get a victory under his belt, a second win of the season, especially at this stage of the season, to try and halt Mitani's charge.
Yeah, he does appear to be hitting a run of form. There are three podium finishes in the last 3 races, although, Elliot, the order is first, second, third, which isn't the trend that Ogiwara would want, but in general he's been so impressive as well.
He certainly has. And on the outside of the front row is another Japanese rider, Japanese 1-2-3 in qualifying earlier on today. First front row since Malaysia for Rishi Takehira, the rider second in the championship. 71 points down on Mitani, and Takehira got that lap in right at the end of the session. He was lingering down in P9 session. Takehira struggled a little bit through practice and qualifying this weekend, but it's a crucial lap time for Takehira to get onto the front row and be in with a shout of overtaking Mitani straight away and try and make Mitani's life a little bit more difficult. But for Takehira, after a disappointing Japanese GP, didn't set a lap time in qualifying, so started at the back of the grid, did well to grab a couple of top 5 finishes, but top 5s is not enough at this stage of the season for Takehira to try and beat Mitani to the crown. Only 1 podium in the last 5 for Takehira, so that's time to change if your name is Takehira on the number 9 machine.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen this kind of burgeoning rivalry between him and Mitani through from last year as well. He was behind Zen Mitani in the 2023 edition of the Idemitsu Asian Talent Cup, although the difference then was just 13 points when that came to a conclusion. It's a bit bigger this time around.
It certainly is. So what can Takira do then? It's a fascinating front three. The top three in the championship, starting from P1, P2 and P3 here in Thailand for race 1 and 2, albeit in a different order. Spearheading row 2 is Kianja Ramadipa on the 7 machine. As we saw last time out, a strange incident got his boot stuck in the rear wheel. Thankfully it was all okay. A pretty nasty looking incident, but Ramadipa was able to continue. But it's 4 races now without a podium from the Indonesian. Didn't get the results he would have wanted on home turf either. So Ramadipa looking back to somewhat of his best here in 2024. It's his equal best qualifying position of the year, along with Qatar in race 1 of the season and race 2 of this season. So yeah, Ramadipa will be mount a podium challenge here in Thailand to get his season back on track here. Looks like the title is all but lost for Ramadipa, but he needs to stand back on the podium and just rekindle that energy, that form we saw in the...
Yeah, absolutely. He's a rider that's often threatening those at the front, but as you say, he needs to take another step forward and try to break into that top 5.
Certainly so. And speaking of top 5, best qualifying since Malaysia is the lead home hero on the grid, Kiatsak Singapong on the number 20. Thailand had a race winner here last year. Can Singapong do the same in front of his home crowd? He will be certainly hoping so. He's the rider highest in the standings without a podium so far is Kiatsak Singapong, relatively inexperienced of course, but he'll be absolutely hoping of course to stand on the podium for the first time. No better place to do it than here at the Chang International Circuit. 4 P5s in 2024, he'll be hoping to change that. Top 5 will be a good result nonetheless, but Singapong really hoping for a podium. And Faris Hafai completing the grid on the number 19 machine. First time incidentally, he's been off the front row since Malaysia earlier on in the season, but he hasn't had a podium in the last 3 as Hafai. So here he's another rider who'll be desperate.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's shown his prowess over the course of practice and qualifying here. He was the fastest in FP1 with a 147.782, and if he can repeat that kind of performance, then he could well be with a chance of threatening the riders ahead of him.
Yeah, the number 9 Tony has been in the lead group throughout this season, hasn't quite managed to win a race in 2024, but he's been...
And Hafi on row 3, Dakigan, Bonprawat and Henry. Behind them on row 4 we have Ikek Schmidt and Chavan. Row 5, Tanachot, Takamoto and Russo. Row 6, Pramuntong, Zakwan and Vishwana. And then on row 7, Dave, Chidwirulchat and Nakib.
There is your starting grid then for race 1 here in Thailand. Tensions build. Are we going to see the 2024 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup champion crowned here this afternoon in 15 laps time? The warm-up lap is now underway. I'm sure Zen Mitani on the number 2. He's a very cool, calm and collected character, but even the most of cool characters will be getting pretty nervous now. Speaking to a few guys down there, colleagues, and he's saying he's been a little bit more quiet than usual this when, Connor. But the riders such as Takira and Ojiwara are going to make sure that it's going to be prolonged for as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to be capable of dealing with the pressure that is being put upon him now. The riders around him are not going to make it easy for him, but if he can live up to his name, Zen Mitani, and keep calm, keep collected, and done, well, he's got an opportunity here.
Long straights, the kilometre-long run down into turn 3, through the kink at turn 2. Plenty of passing manoeuvres here at the Chang International Circuit. 4.5 kilometres in layout, and a beautiful ribbon of tarmac, as we said, one of the favourites on the calendar, and it all builds up to that turn 12, the right-hander zone. It's come down to that last year in both races, and I feel like it's going to come down to that in these 2 races as well coming up. Look out for Seiru Ikegami. He's out of position in terms of the championship and the speed we've seen from the young P10. Didn't have an easy qualifying, hasn't had an easy weekend so far as the rookie and his fans, so always going to be a little bit more tricky than what we've seen, but from what we've been used to from Ikagami. Do watch out for the number 14 because he's been a threat throughout. Won for the first time last time out in Japan. Of course, there he is on the number 4. If he gets a good start and gets into the lead group, uses a bit of slipstream, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with then. As the riders pull up Team Grid, as I say, 15 laps coming up around this Buriram International Circuit as Zen Matani pulls up to the middle of the front row. Here is your pole sitter on the number 16, Ryota Ojiwa. In both races last time out, finished a very, very close second and a very close third. He'll be hoping that it's P1 this time around. Here we go then, tensions rise, the lights are on, and we are underway for race 1 here in Thailand, and it's a great start from pole position from the number 16 of Ojiwara. Mitani got a good launch from the middle of the front row as well. He slots into a comfortable second, Takahiro into third. It's as you were on the front rows. We go through turn 1, all nice and clean so far, and now it's all about trying to get into the slipstream. Ojiwara has a good advantage, but Mitani's closing in quickly as we go through the kink of turn 2. Down into turn 3 for the first time. Is Mitani going to try and take the lead for the first time? Yes, he is. Takahiro is there too, but Mitani late on the brakes as we've seen so often in 24. The number 2 lead, championship leader, is at the front.
Well, Zen Matani did not leave it long before he made that move. Absolutely sensational stuff. It looked like Ogiwara did so well from the start, but when you're coming up against the class of a rider like Zen Matani, he's going to take full advantage. Do you give him? He's done just that at the first corner.
He absolutely has a great start from Mitani. Got a good launch into turn 1 and then made the slipstream count. So here we go then into the infield. That's the number 12 of Ricky Henry running wide through turn 4. The fast left-hander at turn 4 before the infield section starts. Through turn 5 and 6 we go. The left-handers, then you flick it 7. Ojiwara showing a wheel up the inside. A difficult place to pass, but as we saw from the sprint, it's possible to pass through there though. But what they've got to do now, as Ojiwara is doing, is lock themselves onto the rear wheel of Mitani. They don't want to let the number 2 get into his rhythm nice and early and settle down and start to pull away in this race, as Ojiwara then climbs all over the rear wheel of his compatriot Zen Mitani. And this is turn 12, the run into turn 12, fast kink through 11, get a slingshot into 12, the inside line. Ojiwara trying to hang it around the outside. That's not going to work this time around, but they're not letting Mitani go. But on lap 1 it is the number 2, the championship leader of Zen Mitani.
On Mitani.
Elbow back, just calm down a little bit, boys. It's only lap 2. As Takahiro then fancies a bit of slipstream as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ikagami from P10 on the grid. He's forward his
P5, I think it is now. The right one, and already he's lost. Then holding the inside line, but gang at the back of this side, down at turn 5, is now the Malaysian leading the way. This is going to change every single corner. Fantastic stuff in these opening couple of laps already. It's half high from Mamadi from Mikagami. That's Singapong on the number 20 diving up the inside. The number 26 runs wide as well. So nearing the completion of another lap. Mitani getting shuffled down the order a little bit here. Just got to keep calm, keep cool. His rivals aren't in the top sort of 5 or 6 at this moment in time. We're going to get live championship standards towards the end of the race as well. So you guys, as well as us in the commentary box, can keep tracking. We won't concentrate on that now. 12 and 1 corner laps to go. Half-high then into turn 12 for the third time. Lead onto lap 4.
Yeah, absolutely, Elliot. And as you said, this is going to be chopping and changing. All riders taking the lead already, and we've still got 12 laps to enjoy. As another rider takes the lead, Ramadipa.
Yeah, Ramadipa then now leading the way. Just to keep you up to date then on Mitani, if he wins, no matter what happens behind him, he will be crowned champion. If he's second and Takahiro doesn't win, he'll be champion as well. And by my calculations, if he is third and Takahiro or Ojiwara don't win, he will be crowned champion as well. But we will, of course, try and keep you up to date as things happen. And as you can see, as things are happening, it's getting very, very busy down there already. Ojiwara then takes the lead, but for how long for? Squeezes half-high side of the track. It's about 3-4 abreast into the ferociously quick turn 4. What a corner that is on this circuit. Pretty much full chat on these Honda 250 machines as Mitani then climbs up second place. There is your live championship, and Mitani would be crowned champion due to the fact that he has twins 75 points. Ojiwara could level if he won the last 5 races, but Mitani then will head into this closing 12 laps in a very, very good position, but a long way to go, of course, and we've seen he's getting very busy out there, chopping and changing all the time. Mitani's just got to keep a cool head, keep calm, and then we'll see how it plays out. But Mitani then has climbed back up into P2, so he's done well, but Ojiwara is leading.
Yeah, but Mitani is going to be crawling all over that back wheel as he chases a potential, if he was to win each of the races that remain in this Imitsu Asia Talent Cup 2024, he would in this competition. Well, he's one to do.
Absolutely, Veda Batama, last year's winner. A fantastic season from the Indonesian, who's going well, of course, in the Red Bull Rookies Cup and in the Junior GP classes. A good advert for the Asia Talent Cup. We can, safe to say, see Mitani going well in the next few years across the road to MotoGP, but with 11 laps to go then, Ojiwara has hit the front and the hammer is being put down slightly. Here's a nice slow-mo replay of the riders hard on the anchors in turn 12. This is Mitani clicking it down the